The file select screen in Super Mario Sunshine. This is weird, isn't it? I'm pretty sure this is the only mainline Mario game that doesn't just have a static screen for you to pick your save. You actually get to walk back and forth and jump around here. It's memorable because of that. How many games can you say have a memorable file select screen? Welcome back to Video Game World Tours, a series where we slow down and soak in a game's environment. Today we're revisiting Super Mario Sunshine and covering the rest of the game. Part 1 is linked in the cards if you're interested in checking that out, but it's not necessary. Bianco Hills is up first. Considering this is the first stage in the game, they make things super simple for you. A path leading forward with an arrow pointing it out. It's obvious where you're supposed to go. They want you to turn around and see what's behind where you spawn in. Pretty view. Oh, and there's some of the other stages. Pinna Park, Ricco Harbor, and the plaza itself way in the distance. Great bit of world building there. But what of this little lookout you spawn into? This can't be the entrance for the Piantas that live on the island. Spoilers, but there's seemingly no entrance anywhere to allow normal, non-teleporting creatures to enter Bianco Hills. Regardless, this is a cute little spot to start in. Down the hill is the main village area. In the first video, I made it a point to talk about how a lot of the doors in Delfino Plaza were way too small for Piantas. It's like the artist created these doors for humans, without getting the memo that wide plant people would be living on the island. Here though, the doors are actually wide. A Pianta could actually fit through this. I approve. The river along this rock face. I was always drawn to where it leads out, past the level's boundaries. Super Mario Sunshine was one of the first video games I played when I was a kid, and it really captured my imagination with spots like this. It feels like this whole wall leads you right to this spot, and it got me wondering about what's further downstream. I think even as a kid, I realized there wouldn't be more playable space if I were to somehow go down there, but I was curious about the world in-world, not the physical boundaries created by the level designer, but the geography and landscape that lies just outside of Mario's view. I also felt that on top of the hill here. This really got the mind going. Past this cliff, the water is so far below you. It's the only death plane in the whole stage. There's no other insta-kill pits to be found. And the way the wall on the far side of the gorge just curves over, it's like the game is asking you to think about what it looks like down there. You can actually fly over to the little island and stand on it yourself. What a great spot. I wonder if this being one of my first video games played a part in why I love weird little spots in games today. There are just so many to find in this world. Like on top of these platforms nearby. You could use the rocket nozzle to get up here, but what if I don't want to? What if I want to use my good old hover nozzle? There we go. Lovely view of the whole stage from here. Another spot I thought was interesting was this little plot of land. It's completely separated from the mainland here, but there's not much to look at. I do remember climbing on this wall though and looking out, wishing I could slide down this hill right into Ricco Harbor. And finally, the windmill, the main landmark of the stage. There's not really any interesting spots on the path leading up to it, but I did notice there are a few jumps for you to make on your way up. This one even requires the hover nozzle, something I don't think Piantas have, so I don't know how they're expected to climb up here. The top of the windmill is great. You get an even higher up view compared to the platforms on top of the hill over there, looking out at the stage you just went through. And there's Pinna Park just peeking out over the hill. Oh, and of course, the cave leading to Bianco Hill's second secret stage. This was another spot that kinda stuck with me. The thin layer of water flowing beneath you is such a cool touch. This game's water effects could make anything look cool though. They're just that beautiful. Next up is Ricco Harbor. This is where you get to see a bit of the industrial side of Isle Delfino. Ships, crates, cranes, this is a busy place. First thing I noticed are these dead bloopers and blue pads. Kinda gruesome to just see their corpses laid bare like this. Whenever you kill an enemy, they disappear and a coin pops out. But this is real. These little garage doors, what are they for? I'm pretty sure the building isn't long enough to fit these boats, and I don't see any other vehicles nearby. Though maybe whatever vehicle they do house is actually in there and you never get to see it. Could it be a forklift? Perchance. The defining part of the stage to me is the scaffolding. I guess it's all to build the structure you see erected in episode 3, but then what's that for? The only NPC I could find that even mentions it in the episode when it appears is this guy, but all he does is point out that it exists. No context is given as to why this massive cage was built. I mean, it's cool, I guess? What other reason would anyone need to build something like this? A less imposing area of the stage is the town. There's all these colorful buildings lining the wall all the way down to the end. And on the final episode, this spot turns into a market. I guess this isn't something we haven't seen before, considering the plaza has one as well, but I'll always appreciate a spot like this. It gives the world more life seeing people both set up stands and customers browsing them. Huh, that texture up there is interesting. I remember seeing that as a kid too, and thinking it was bizarre. Like there's this generic rock face all along the wall here, but at this corner, there's suddenly a brick wall. It almost reminds me of a castle wall with these little windows here. Looks like the gaps that archers can shoot from. And look at how narrow these rooftops are. It implies that the interior of these buildings were carved out of the rock face, and then up here is a brick wall that goes up a bit past the rooftops. Was this actually a castle once? What a weird piece of architecture. And I can't help but notice stuff like this. I wish I could. I wish my eyes were blind to such details. But I have been granted the curse of noticing tiny things that don't make sense upon closer inspection. This Pianta could not enter this helicopter. He does outright declare this as his private helicopter, so it's not like this was for a Noki or something. I feel like this is a consistent enough problem with the world to where something must have changed mid-development. Why are so many doors just not built for Piantas? Though I don't even think Mario could fit through that. Honestly, I didn't have that many spots I wanted to talk about in Ricco Harbor when I started this section, but there was one I knew I had to talk about. Episode 2 introduces blooper surfing to you. You hop on a blooper and you go riding forward automatically. The shine sprite for this stage has you go in this tunnel and do a lap around an underground racetrack. But what if you didn't do that? What if you just walked around? This is definitely up there in terms of weird spaces in this game. I think there's just something inherently interesting about having a space built for one purpose, in this case racing, and being able to use it in another, here, walking around on foot. It's interesting to see the terrain shape outside of the water in some spots. Like this winding path makes sense from the perspective of wanting to have a challenging race, but what's the deal with the ground here? This lower ledge has a gentle curve, while the ledge right above it snaps to a perfect 90-degree angle. And then there's the ledge above that lines the whole area. Look at this cube. What a bizarre detail to add to this awkward kink in the ledge. Some of these areas outside of the water are useful for shortcuts. They're low enough to where you can jump up and ride on them, cutting some corners out and saving time. But up here, you're never reaching this level on a blooper. And the developers probably never thought you would go up here. Why would you? So these are just super flat plains with practically nothing on them. It's kinda off-putting in a way. Almost all other areas in the game are either dense with detail or obviously built to provide a platforming challenge. This is neither. It's empty. The pipes above stretching from level boundary to level boundary. It's weird. I don't know what to make of it. I especially don't know what to make of this. There's this small set of squares lining the edges of this lower ledge here. It's kind of an interesting detail, But then you notice that over here, there's an odd one out. One of the 8 squares is filled in. It's just weird. It doesn't make any sense. There's no context, no pattern. It's just random. I like it. Pianta Village is the last main stage of the game, and it's the only one that takes place at night. It's an interesting contrast. All of the other stages feature you basking in the sun's radiance, so warm. And this is so cool. A blue tint envelops the stage, illuminated from the moon above. A welcome change of pace in my eyes. Interestingly, it doesn't take place only at night. It's also the only stage to change the time of day depending on which episode you play. But honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the daytime version. Considering you first see the stage at night, this just feels weird, like it lacks character. So we'll stick with the nighttime version going forward. Just what is this stage anyway? We're floating above a bottomless pit? Well, not floating really. It rests on some massive trees. Or I guess one supermassive tree that splits off into a couple slightly smaller trees. I never really thought about that. Hanging out on top of the trees is interesting. It kind of puts into scale how small you are. These leaves are just big. Plus, this is probably the highest point you can reach on the island where you can see the other stages. I really appreciate how the level designers went out of their way to include them way out in the distance. It makes Isle Delfino believable in a way that not many Mario games have gone for since Sunshine here. And you can really see the dolphin shape of the island. There's the tail and the fin up there. Cute to see it all laid out like that. Heading back to ground level, I like the tall grass on the western side of the stage. It's funny that this game stylized most grass as a simple flat green texture, but then there's these giant singular blades of grass. Like some of these are almost double Mario's height. Who knows what kind of creepy crawlies you'd brush up against in here. On the other side of the island are a few tiny mushrooms. I wonder if these will eventually grow into the larger ones that dot the village. Oh, and this river? It endlessly flows into the void below. But where's the source? Huh, it flows out from a grate in the center tree. Okay, sure. I remember being fascinated with this small stream of water pouring into the massive pit. The scale of the play space really hits you while looking at this. Zooming back a good bit, the water renders weird with the free cam, but it captures what my mind imagined as a kid. I think I'm just a sucker for a pit with edges that slowly fade to black. This gets me wondering about what it's like where the water lands. If this is flowing 24/7, it must go somewhere. Not knowing is part of the fun though. As a quick aside, I thought I'd talk to the guy that gives you sunglasses. For those that don't know, in every stage there's a Pianta that, when you talk to him, he gives you sunglasses and the screen becomes tinted a bit. I was curious what that'd look like at night, but he doesn't give you any. I talked to him in the other episodes where it's night and he doesn't either. It's interesting that they carved out these few nighttime episodes as an exception for his sunglasses filter. At the northern end of the stage, past the hot spring here, is something I alluded to in my first video. I said I was mildly spooked by the beehives in this game as a kid, but there was one I was particularly afraid of. This one, right at the edge. It terrified me. Something about being unable to damage bees as Mario freaked me out. And even on Yoshi, who can eat them, I was still not happy to be around them. There's not a lot of safe space to engage the hive here. On both sides, you're forced super close to the ledge, and it'd be easy to fall off, especially for a nervous kid. I don't know, when you're younger, it's easy to overblow things that aren't that bad. Like this isn't that scary or dangerous at all, but it's one of those things I built up in my mind so much, it took on a life of its own. It's not actually that bad, but it sure did feel like a big deal to kid me. Episode 3 is the Goopy Inferno. When you select the episode, Shadow Mario steals Flood, so you're forced to get through this stage without your water spraying abilities. which would have been real handy considering nearly the whole stage is drenched in magma-like goop. I love when stages are recontextualized like this. You are just not allowed to walk on the majority of the stage. Instead, you're forced to climb through the maze lining the underside of the village to eventually reach the platform where Flood is. Or, you could swim to this little pond and start shaking some of the water off as you get out of the water to clear off a tiny bit of land. Then spin jump to the platform that has Flood. It's your choice, really. But even before you get Flood back, the way you interact with the stage is interesting. You don't have the hover ability you're used to having. Mario looks naked without it. For some reason, this specific challenge always stood out to me because of those few things. It's a memorable visual, having the entire stage covered in goo. Plus, you can't wash it off like you've been doing the whole game. Even if I don't really like climbing through the underground maze, the Goopy Inferno will probably stick with me for a long time. Let's look at Corona Mountain, the gauntlet leading up to the final fight with Bowser. After that, we'll look at my favorite stage in the game. This stage is linear, so there's not a lot of spots to point out, but there are a few. Like this platform only a couple jumps away from the start. It has a 1-up, so as long as you can get this far during each run, you won't run out of lives. Nice little helping hand from the developers there. After a good amount of dangerous jumps, you're given another safe platform to get your bearings. It has this platform spraying out water so you can refill Flood before the final section. But what's the deal with this? This looks like just a normal ledge, and the water is coming from a random part of the geometry, not even one of the little holes on the texture. And how has it supplied all this water? All questions that aren't important. What is important though, is this box with another 1-up. I'll always take more lives. And I'll definitely be needing them for this next section. There are no more platforms leading you forward. Instead, you're given a boat that you must propel and turn yourself. This gave me nightmares. I'm sure anyone that played this as a kid can back me up. It was stressful to pilot this boat. You have to walk around and aim it so your water stream pushes the boat in the direction you want it to go. But of course, it's near impossible to go just straight. So you're constantly walking back and forth, making micro adjustments just to survive. Because if the boat even just kisses one of the rocks, it's game over. Partway through is another fountain to refill your water tanks. It's funny that if you jump up here and leave the boat behind, you are stranded. You're not getting out of this alive. So maybe don't do that. At the end is a platform. You know, this kinda got me thinking, what were all these platforms originally from? I kinda thought about that with the first water fountain we found, but this is obviously part of a path from something. Maybe there was a structure down here in the past, but it all crumbled into the lava below. Or maybe it flowed in from somewhere else? Who can say? Not much to look at here. They got a little raised platform for the rocket nozzle. And what's that? A lone square on the ground. Ground pounding it doesn't reveal anything. Using the rocket nozzle on it doesn't do anything either. I wonder if the rocket nozzle box was supposed to be on this originally. It looks just about the right size. Maybe in the end they decided it looked better centered like this, and they just forgot to update this ground texture. That's probably it. With nowhere left to go ahead of us, the only way forward is up. I love the look of the clouds in this game, and it's funny how you can make them massive if you spray them a lot. What I particularly like about this spot is that as you go higher and higher, getting ever closer to the fight with Bowser, the clouds get darker and more ominous. The last cloud up there is truly sinister, as is the whole stage, really. Do you know the stage I'm going to talk about now? I'm wondering how well you remember the stages to this game, and if you know the one I haven't mentioned yet. I'm talking about Sirena Beach. The aesthetic in here is beautiful. The cabanas, pools of water, this frosted glass. Come on, this effect is amazing. And the overall color scheme is great too. It has a lot of cool blues, but there's hints of warm oranges to break it all up. Give it some flavor. This is the most chill hotel lobby I've seen in a piece of media. On the second and third floors are a bunch of rooms that, well, you can't just waltz right in. That's the one annoying part of this stage to me. Nearly all of the doors are locked in almost every room. A lot of the challenge in those episodes just comes from figuring out how to reach your goal through the vents above the third floor or secret passages connecting rooms together. Well, unless you're playing on episode 7. In the episode where you chase after Shadow Mario, all the doors are open, so we're free to go in and out as we please. Also, it normally pulls the camera back to a top-down view when entering someone's room, but in this episode, it keeps the traditional third-person camera when you go in. Wait, I wonder if you can... Oh wow, you can walk around the vents with the third-person camera too. I know you can still pull back the camera yourself to get the normal top-down view, but it's weird that this is the default perspective. I don't think I ever used this close of a camera angle with Mario in the vents here. It's an actual maze not being able to see the layout at all. Like I was walking around just to get footage for this section, and I genuinely got lost. This is awful. Okay, there's the exit. I like the pool room. It feels super elegant in here with the steps leading down from all sides, and statues on the 4 corners. This hotel does feel like a place for high rollers. Speaking of high rollers, how about the casino? Now this is happening. I know they have kind of a different aesthetic, but this reminds me of the casino from Sonic Adventure, probably because that's another game I played a lot around the same time. All these colors really pop. I especially like the spotlights on the walls that move around, and these cute little Pianta statues. I don't think I noticed this back in the day, but these light posts are stylized after palm trees. That's cute. Anyone down for some sloys? Alright, that's it for the casino. I don't think there's anywhere else I have one more area to talk about on this stage. I know you noticed that I didn't immediately bring it up, but I had to save the best for last. The area outside the hotel. I'm honestly at a loss for words on how to describe why I like this spot. I'm sure fans of my videos have spots in games that they love, but can't really put into words why. I think the lighting plays a big part here. This truly is the golden hour, where the sun sets and the entire landscape is tinted with this reddish orange. Areas outside of direct sunlight are more blue. Orange and blue are such a pleasing color combination to me, as it is to a lot of people if all these popular movie posters are anything to go by. But I don't think it's just the lighting that plays a part in why I like this space. This just feels like an actual place. There's no floating platforms or crazy terrain. It's so subdued. The fountains. The beach chairs in front, perfectly placed to watch the sunset. All this flat space. They don't really present you with a platforming challenge in the episodes that do take place outside, so they were free to make this space as realistic as possible. Look at this spot back here. It has a plain beauty to it. Any words I used to describe it would fall short of reaching even a tenth of its actual charm. It just is nice. This whole space is nice. That's all I can bring myself to say about it. Check out either of these videos up next. I've done a few videos recently returning to games I've previously covered. I like it. It's fun to come back with a fresh mind after working on the first video. Let me know in the comments which game you'd like to see me return to in the future. Thanks for watching and see you next time.